Hey everyone, this is Christie Ellis with Keller Williams Integrity First with my good friend Bill Paden, Direct Mortgage Loans. How's it going, Bill?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I think I put on more miles on my car these past 6 days than I've ever done in my career.
Well,
Because,
that's what
yes,
happens when you sell in the White Mountains.
well, I was in Queen Creek the end of the
Okay.
week, went up to the White Mountains, so I was in Show Low and Pinetop and Lakeside, came home from there and went and showed in Waddell and Buckeye.
Wow, Dale.
Waddell. Yes, a lot of people say, "Where is Waddell?" Because I had to look it up on a map too. It is
It's
actually
out
just
there.
just south of Surprise, and
Hmm.
really beautiful acreage lots, farming community, not farming, but more farm style homes. Um,
Hmm.
I kind of dig it. I kind of like all that land and lots of big, pretty shade trees. You know,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a fairly new city for the most part, too, from what I
is it?
understand. I think well, I take it back. I think it's been around for a while, but they've developed a lot more recently.
Yes, I could definitely see where there's a lot of new construction going out that way. West Side is
Hmm.
very popular, and we know like some of our West Side markets are the ones that are picking up, but I kind of like so it's a little eclectic, right? Like no HOAs, like you buy a piece of land and you build your house. However you basically
Hmm.
want to build it. Of course, you stay within city and county guidelines, but um more like people have more toys or trailers or like one of the houses we saw like a neighbor had semis, clearly like they were probably truck driver.
Trucking company. Hmm.
Yeah, well, not the company. They were probably a driver that parked like one or two of their trailers
Ah, I
on the
got you.
property,
Hmm.
containers, but nothing looked um bad. Like it didn't look, no cars on blocks or like things like that. It looked good. It's just different than what you see in like within a city limits type thing.
Gotcha.
But it was
Yeah.
kind of cool. I
Nice.
enjoyed looking at like I enjoyed going out to that part of town too. It was just different than shopping like in Ahwatukee or Gilbert or Tempe.
Hmm.
Totally different animal. So yeah,
Very different feel out there.
yeah, it was. Then you're shopping in Show Low in the White Mountains, totally different feel. It's just I kind of enjoy the diversity of our clients right now. So it's really cool.
All over the place.
It
That's
is. It's kind
awesome.
of yeah, it's kind of fun because it gets you to get out there and it helps me as an agent
Hmm.
because I'm looking
100%.
at all these different places and just learning more and finding out more stuff and I kind of like the
Mhm.
acreage because then you get like a John Deere lawnmower and you drive around. That could be
Yeah,
so
that's the
fun.
last thing Kristen wants me to get.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, I'd soup it up.
There you go. You put like those tailpipes on there.
Yeah, right.
That's so funny. Well, anyway, I just want to get started today about, we talked about we were chatting about how the market hasn't been super crazy this week. It's been a little bit, rates have kind of stays, but you're saying that there's some stuff coming up this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of economic data coming out this week. Uh, in regards, obviously rates are going to shift any which direction
Hmm.
based on the reports how they come out. The biggest fear is stagflation. Is if we have a weakened economy and inflation is still increasing, you start going to the stagflation market.
Hmm.
It kind of feels like based on what the market's done the last couple weeks, they've kind of priced in a potential June rate cut by the Fed. Um, but if the Fed starts talking and they start pulling back that idea, they can go the wrong way, right? The market
Mm.
can go back up. So it's kind of in limbo. I mean, trust me, every day the market can swing 50, 70, 100 basis points either
Yeah.
direction. Like you might wake up and it's up 40, which is about an eighth in the interest rate. The next thing you know, an hour later, it's down 20. So you can have those swings right now. I think it's just going to be more of a roller coaster
Mm.
until they get some clear direction where the economy is heading and kind of clear direction on how the Fed wants to attack it, right?
Yeah.
So this week, I mean, it could be a good week, can be a bad week. It's
We just
I'm
don't know
done
yet.
trying. I'm
It's
done
it's
trying to
Monday.
predict it.
Just
Uh,
be grateful it's Monday. Well,
exactly. I woke up today, so
yeah,
there we go.
exactly. Well, that's kind of it.
But it's an important week with the data that's coming out. So we'll see what happens there and see how the market reacts to that. And then there's always the wild card of what's going on in the world in general,
Hmm.
uh, with trade wars and stuff like that, or the talk of trade wars. That will if something comes out on that settlement, that could help things, or if it increases, that could hurt things. So there's a lot of different factors going on. I think this week will help let us know what direction we can expect the next couple weeks. And then I'm sure we'll course correct after that and so on. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I mean, I'm talking with all my clients. If you got it locked, if you like where it's at, just lock it, take the stress off your chest, and
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's in every ways, I get this question a lot, especially right now, what's going to happen in the market next year, next week? And we've always said we can't predict anything. If we could, we'd be billionaires, right?
Trillion.
Like, yeah, a trillionaire, right? That's a good point. We'd probably be really, 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 really rich. So,
Yeah.
but we project things based on what we know, and then there's the things you can't even plan on, right? Like COVID. That's the perfect example. Like you don't know when things are going to happen in the world. Like you just have no idea. So
Hmm.
do the best we can. And that's why there's this one, and I'm totally drawing a blank on his name right now. There's this one social media guy I follow who he's straight real estate related. And I love what he says. He's like, it's not a good market or a bad market. It's the current market we're in. Regardless of
Hmm.
what's happening, it doesn't matter. Right. Like, so we just work what we see, right? We adapt every single day to what's happening. Our game plan may change. And that's what I think flexibility in this industry is
Oh
super
yeah.
important. You cannot be so focused on one lane that you're not looking at the 9 lanes around you and then what's behind you. Because
Yeah.
you have to kind of be able to say, all right, now we got to switch lane, get off this exit. We got to move we have to be able to adapt. And it's no one's fault. You can't blame anyone for it. It
No.
just is what it is. And you have to, and this is why educating clients and helping them understand. And this is why we even have that market advisory uh form that we get people to sign, right? It's like we don't know what's going to happen. We are giving you
Yep.
information based on what's happening right now.
Hmm. And I always say,
Or
like,
market conditions advisory, sorry, yeah.
I with the Fed's doing, the Fed is trying its best based on what they're used to have happening. They're playing
Right.
with an older playbook, right?
Yeah.
And I love that statement. This market isn't different. It's our current market. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
It is what it
It,
is.
it's not acting like it has in the past, which is fine. Don't be scared of that. Let's figure out a way. Let's figure out a way to move forward. And I think the Fed is finally realizing that. I think that as much flack as they are realizing that they have to be more real time,
Hmm.
which comes with these reports that come out, and they can pivot. And that's where it makes it hard to predict. But it's
Right.
kind of exciting. We're writing a new playbook right now.
Yeah. That every day we're writing something new.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's as much as it hurts my hairline. I wouldn't do
but it's
anything
always
else.
they always say when is the best time to buy a house? 5 years ago, right? Like so make it now
Don't
the
live in the
5 years.
past.
Yeah,
Don't
you
don't
can't worry
don't get
about.
hung up on that.
But that's the point too. Real estate has never been a bad option. And maybe there's downtimes, yes, but as long as you hold on to it, and you have to be able to foresee that too, right? So
Yeah.
either you're living in your house and buying investment properties. I mean, we're investors, we buy property all the time, right?
Hmm.
Like my mom would joke, I'm like, oh mom, just buy a house. And she's like, you make it sound like it's so easy. I'm like, no, really, it's really that easy. It's not hard to do these things if long as you have the information, the education, the financial wherewithal. We're never going to put you in something that you can't afford to be in.
Well,
So
you can't do that. There's regulations that are in place.
that's my point.
But
See?
I'm big on budgets.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make your mortgage. Unfortunately, I'm not going to pay your mortgage for you. But let's have a budget conversation. Does this work for you long term?
Yeah, that's excellent points.
Yeah.
Now, one of the numbers I was surprised to see is that new home builds went up for the month of
Yep.
March, which was interesting. I really think a lot has to do with, these new home builders offer these, super low rates because they buy them down for you as a buyer.
They they control the supply. So
Yeah.
they can go to an investor and say, hey, give me two
It's
hundred million
usually their
dollars in
mortgage
loans.
company.
Huh?
It's usually their mortgage company a lot of times.
Well, yeah, but they have warehouse lines.
Right. Okay.
So
Explain that
so
to
so
people.
so there's investors behind the scenes, right? So
Right.
like they could be like, hey, Mr. Investor, Mrs. Investor, whatever. Uh, I want $200 million in loans, and I'm gonna use them all within the next 12 months. If I don't, here's a penalty,
Hmm.
right?
Oh,
Well, that penalty is still less than if how houses sat with their penalties on the construction loan. So and they control the supply. Builders know, okay, in the next 12 months, I'm gonna have 5,000 units available for
yeah.
sale.
Hmm.
And so, sometimes it's a great opportunity. New builds, They just control that supply. I wish I could do that, but it's not always there. But you know what? They control both sides of it, so they're able to then give that seller credit to buy it down or control those rates and prepaid mortgages. So
Yeah, there's and new home builder, they're not always super simple either. Like getting a new home sounds like a great idea, but you have to be really cautious too, because I believe the new home builder has to have a really good reputation. I
yes.
saw a lot in 2021 and 22, um, even into 23, people having to close on their new home builds, even with things not completed, like shower doors not installed, flooring not put in. I don't understand how they got around those limitations. I'm not really 100% sure how that worked, but there were people who had a lot of complaints for a long time. Now, I think a lot of this has come out over the past year. I think it was just the market we had was so hectic, so busy. They were kind of trying to capitalize on it. I think the subs were subpar potentially, and they're hiring people that are not fantastic at these jobs. And just a
Hmm.
lot of stuff was missed. And our home inspector that we use all the time, um, for our own stuff, and that I always recommend to clients, easy property inspections, they're the first ones to tell you never not do a home inspection for a new home build, because they will find, like, if I see a home inspection that's 12 pages or less, I'm super happy. Some of these new home builds are
Hmm.
like 27, 30 pages, right? Like insulation missing, reverse hot and cold, things that are like important for a homeowner. And I know a lot of people say, well, I have the year one. Well, do one of the year as well. So a new home build is a great idea, but you just have to be super cautious. And depending on the time it takes to build
Hmm.
it, I don't think people understand too, their earnest money is no longer, once they give it, that's the builder's money now. The builder can
Yeah.
use it for other projects, do different things. You don't get that back
Yeah, it's usually
unless you don't
hard.
get qualified. But
Mhm.
you have to be qualified at the time, which is the other thing people don't realize. So if
Yes.
you qualify right now for the house and it doesn't close for a year, a lot of times, if you don't qualify at that time, it doesn't
Yep.
matter. You lost your earnest money.
And one thing, I mean, like I said, I'm not knocking the new builds. I think it's
Oh yeah, no,
sometimes
for sure. You just
great to have a
gotta know what's going on.
new home. One thing that I'm running into is when you buy a new build, you really should be in that house for about 3 to 5 years.
Mm,
Because I've had one or two refinances that bought new build, and the new builds have since moved, completed the neighborhood and moved on to the next, right? And the appraisal value has struggled a little bit because you're still
yeah.
competing against the other ones they're building,
Yep.
but it's in a different neighborhood. So, really when you buy a new build, you have to be in there. It's not just that 1 year kind of thing, to really get that investment.
Yep.
Because, and I hear various things, with the rates, they say baked into the price or something like that. I don't know where that comes from. I think that honestly, it's just a matter of it's a long-term investment. It's not a short-term investment,
Yeah,
is
that's a
what
good
I
point.
always say.
Yeah, and there's nothing
Um,
wrong with new builds. You just got to be prepared, right? There can be more costs with, you have to put in the pool, the landscaping, you just have to be able to budget for it, and you have to be smart
exactly.
about the decision, and you have to be smart, like all those things have to play. So it's not just walk into it. And this is why they say on the new, make sure you have your realtor with you before you come in here for the first tour. This is why
Yep.
it's really important, because we go over all those things to make sure that you're thinking about all that stuff, because it is so easy to get sucked into by that like gorgeous giant kitchen island with all the bells and whistles that you just have to have, but it's not in the market.
Well, yeah, you should not walk. You should never walk into a new build without an agent. Oh, you will always want to be represented. I think that's
Always
the.
want to be represented, because those contracts are, they're very pro builder, of course.
I see a
And
different one every time I get one. I'm
yeah,
like,
oh
oh,
yeah,
this
and
is
this is
this is
why,
new.
Patrick's not on this call today, but the attorney we talk to all the time, like we always recommend to our clients, hey, yes, I can basically help you read it,
Hmm.
but you may want to talk to an attorney as well, because the review of this just making sure, not that the attorney is going to be able to change anybody's mind on the
No,
building
you're
side,
not. Yeah, you're not gonna get
but
the builder to change it or
no,
redline
but
it.
you want to know what you're in for. Like you want
Yeah.
to know what you're going to be expected to
Oh,
do.
100%. And I always say the great thing about the Arizona contract is that it, for the most part, protects the buyers, right?
Yes,
That was ever since the crash, that's what was the whole point of having a systematic contract, right?
yes,
With the PQs and LSUs. These builders, they're based out of other states. Those contracts, for the most part, favor them. And
yeah, of
I'm
course.
not saying I mean, it's their business. I get
Is
it.
there? And no, absolutely, no. You just have to know what you're getting into. You just need to be smart
Yeah.
about it.
That's all
Yeah,
it
I've
is.
bought
Know
multiple
your
homes.
options. And then when
Yeah,
you're signing, you know what you're getting yourself into. So,
absolutely. And I mean, like, they can be great opportunities for someone to get into something, you
yeah.
know?
And I have plenty of clients that happens and they're like, oh man, Bill, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I'm not sorry. If this works for you, this is what you want to be in, this is what you should be in. Like
Yes,
I'm not,
absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
there's, I'll help out the next client and I'll help you out later on a refinance, or maybe you sell that and buy something else later on. So
Yeah. You never burn
um
bridges.
yeah, no, we're
That's
here
the way it goes.
I'm just here to help. I just want you to know everything that you have. That's all I say.
Completely makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being here once again today. And Bill and I have decided we're going to bring on some guest speakers every week. There's a lot of stuff going on within the home buying and selling industry and the home ownership industry, right? And so Bill and I want to make sure that you are as well informed as you can possibly be. So we're going to be bringing on some key people who can
Yep.
help you make good decisions, who can help you, get quotes on. The people we know, all they care about is making sure you have good information. They're not hardcore salespeople. They just want to
Mhm.
educate and teach. If you want to use them, great. But if all you're doing is using them for their brain, they're okay with that too. So, alrighty.
Yep.
Well, thank you,
Can't
Bill.
wait.
Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you next
Thank
week.
you. See you then.